Hello. Welcome to Cold Brew Truth.
Yeah. We're
rolling.
we were out and about looking at lots, and then we were talking about how we had to do a recording. And then what were we chatting about? We weren't sure what we was gonna chat about this week. We kind of
funny.
A lot of people ask us actually. They're like, "Oh, about our your plan or whatnot, what we're talking about." And we just talk about whatever we have going on that week in life.
Yep.
And stuff.
And things that strike us.
Yeah, something that struck me. What struck me? Should we not say that?
Something that struck you?
Struck me. We were.
It just makes me giggle.
About grace. We were
Giving
talking
grace.
about giving each other more grace, giving ourselves more grace, giving graceful. Why did we talk about being more graceful, giving ourselves more grace?
The reason why is because happiness and joy is something that I myself personally am trying to manifest back into my life. As we've mentioned in our previous podcast, like how life in and of itself could just kind of gut punch you.
I saw a funny
the joy
TikTok.
and fun out of you.
I saw a funny TikTok from this comedian, and he was like, "Yeah, so my wife, the fact that my wife told me that she manifested our marriage," he's like, "I don't really know how to feel about that. This whole manifestation thing, I get it and I agree with it, but how fucking creepy is that?" He's like, "So, like, where does manifestation and, like, stalker
Oh, two totally different things.
cross the line?" But, like,
I mean, I've had a stalker and they're not fun. They seek you out and like personally.
Right.
We're manifesting. You're just putting out there what it is that you want to draw to you, but not necessarily naming specifics.
okay.
I don't think personally.
So as long as it stays in your brain?
Well, no, because that also goes back to vision casting, which is like a vision board and stuff like that.
True.
Like I have a picture of like some dude on mine because I want a freaking husband at some point again in my life. Like
Some dude out there.
but I'm not gonna name who it is because I have no idea.
Hey, what if
who
you
it's
met
supposed
an
to be.
Asian that came up to you and I was like, "Hi, my name is Sam," and you're like, "Oh, Sam,"
What?
because you need some dude. Sam
Oh.
sounds like an Asian name.
Stella.
Sam.
Mom jokes. They're like dad jokes, but worse. Just kidding. That's funny.
Sam.
Dude.
Hi, my
Well.
name is Sam Dude. Anyways, vision casting on our vision board, so it can be out of your brain.
Yeah,
Fine
and I don't
line.
think that it's being like, weird. Maybe like he was referencing.
Not stalking.
Yeah. Oh, that's not 13. Okay. Trying to find some
We're
numbers.
multitasking here, yeah, as usual.
But I feel like the point that we were trying to make is like how like happiness is a choice, truly, at the end of the day. Like, and you have to choose it and pick it and want it. And therefore, when you do that, like, I think that that's going to be what comes back. And if you don't focus on that, it's really easy to lose sight of it and then letting the rest of the world like come in and do what it does best. Like if you think about it, the majority of people
Make you bitter,
yeah, the majority of people that you come across like are really not truly very happy people. Like
overly happy.
not even necessarily overly happy. Like there's so many people that are so depressed in the world. Like think about like the
I had
amount of
somebody
people.
tell me the other day, last week, they're like, "You are like comical, but accidentally comical."
That's a funny way of saying that.
I'm unintentionally
Funny.
have humor.
I don't know how to take that.
I know. I guess I took it as a positive note. I was like, "That's good though. If I'm accidentally funny, and you're all getting your shits and kicks and giggles out of it, then have at it."
Shits and kicks and giggles.
But you have to have humor. I guess where I was going, you have to have humor a little bit
Yeah.
in life. You gotta have some humor.
Like I find
Some of us have more other than others.
a lot of humor in a lot of different like situations, and probably oftentimes when I'm not supposed to find humor, I find humor. Exactly. Hearing the little awkward giggle, like, oh man, I am the queen of that. So
You and I probably giggle at more inappropriate things than we should have.
Do you want to? Okay, so this is where like I'm so messed up.
Like the artichoke at the Buy
Oh
Mart.
my lord! I don't even know how you saw that, but whatever.
The artichoke looked like a vagina.
I
Cut it open on. Who put that on the magazine first?
I don't know. My brain went straight to ooh, artichoke, yum.
I was like, ew, vagina.
But that I think is because of you and all of your animals that you're constantly like tending to and checking and all the things. She's got way too many pregnant.
I've got some animals that were supposed to have some babies a few weeks ago, and that's why I told her, I was like, I swear to God, if I have to look at another goat vagina, I don't even know. Like, I'm just sick of it. I'm over it.
It's so funny though.
But that just goes into like people. Look at all these people driving around the gate.
Well, yeah. They don't know how to get through there. But yes, so that's where her brain went because that's where she's been focused, is tending to farm animals.
We
and all
giggled at inappropriate stuff in the grocery store.
My guilty giggling comes when pain happens. Like I giggle like when it's not the right time to be giggling, like when I'm super hurt or something bad and I'm like because it's like a nervous giggle that I do and it's not healthy. I'm certain of it, but I don't know. My therapist would call that toxic positivity. I'm gonna find something funny in the situation that's not supposed to be funny.
I think I'm unawarely what's the right word for that?
I don't know.
I have done it, but I'm unaware that I do that, but I do it really a lot of the time.
You're oblivious to it?
I obliviously laugh at inappropriate, awkward things.
Oopsies.
Well, only two, because actually it's not because it's awkward, but I think I laugh because I know that humans do stupid things like that all the time, and it just makes me giggle because it makes you humane when things like that typically happen.
Which, oddly enough, in my opinion, kind of goes back to the topic of like giving yourself grace. Like, I was reminded of that this weekend, actually, when I was reading one of my books. And it was talking...
One of your books? You mean the Bible?
No, it was a book.
Oh, it was a real book.
The Bible is a real book, but no.
Oh, I didn't say it wasn't.
It's, when, oh shit, what is it called? I'm gonna have to look this up now because I don't remember. But it's a really good book by Lisa Tuckert, I think is how you say it.
Okay.
But it's talking about like how like we just in our human nature are imperfect people, obviously. But then we like, especially myself, like I'm super hard on myself and I hold myself to a ridiculously high standard. And by accident, because I do this, I oftentimes will hold other people to really high standards. And you and I are very much so people that like, and then we've talked about this, where we feel like oftentimes people in the world are kind of failing because they're not showing up.
You want people to do more, be better.
Yeah, and part of literally this entire chapter, It's Not Supposed to Be This Way is the name of the book.
Okay.
And it's by Lisa Turkhurst.
Tucker was on the right track.
Yeah, something. Turkhurst?
Okay.
But where sometimes we just need to genuinely accept people as they show up, because sometimes showing up is the only capacity that they have. And it does not mean that you condone like people, you know, necessarily like not participating or not giving more than what they could. But sometimes people literally don't have anything to give. And I can honestly say, like, coming from last year's experience, like my battle was just simply being able to show up and get out of bed on most days. Like, I still did really well because it became a habit, but in our brokenness and in our imperfections, like, that's where compassion comes into play, because the world sometimes will hit you sideways, and that's what you can do. It's just
so where is the fine line between like giving someone grace and holding them accountable and having that expectation for what they should be capable of?
So that's what the beautiful part about this book
what
is.
The book's
like,
about.
Yeah, it's like we don't.
Should I read the book?
You should. You can read it next.
Thanks. You can borrow it.
Is basically like not putting expectations on others, because really, like, who are we to judge and say what other people should or could even be doing? Number one, and then number two, if we do put those expectations on people, then when they don't meet those expectations, we are the ones who feel that disappointment. We're the ones who feel like
Even though
that
it was
frustration,
us that said it.
right, when it's like, but they didn't say that for themselves, they didn't set that goal for themselves, like we saw it and set it for them, and so therefore in our own minds we created a version that may or may not even exist within this person. So
Right.
it's actually more upon us to, again, just accept people as they show up and then see what they do bring to the table, and that's where you then get to decide, and that's how you get that line. And it's not like these people are bad people, but maybe sometimes people, like, they can't participate at the higher level, and if they can't, well, then that's okay. Like,
Right.
give them and let them have from you then, and let them draw upon you so they can maybe grow. Like, maybe they have never even gotten the opportunity to elevate themselves, and maybe because we do hold ourselves to such high standards and we do a lot of things that other people don't do, that's where a lot of people end up drawing energy. Like, I know for me in my life, there's been multiple people that I've come across, and that's why, like, they tell you to go and see who your surrounding people are, and you should never stop learning. So it's like, if you feel like your surrounding circle of friends or your surrounding circle of influence is not one that's challenging your mind, that's not challenging
If you've become stagnant,
yeah, go find other people, because it's absolutely essential to your own personal growth and your own personal development and all the things. But again, it also goes back to, like, that's what our job and our role is too, is to be that for someone else. Whether you know that you're being that for someone, half the time you don't even know that you're doing it. Like, how many times have you had people come up to you and tell you, like, that you have inspired them, or because of your, like, ability to make, you know, light and fun of a conversation, that helped them in a situation, and you're like, really? Oh, I didn't even know that I was doing that. Like, and
it is good when things you don't realize that you've shown, like, that you've participated in the backseat, and you're not really aware that you were even in the backseat, and then you're like, wait, I was along for the ride the whole time. Like, awesome. Hopefully it's always in a good manner.
Yeah, I mean, most of the times I think it is, like,
well, not for everybody. It depends on the person. Some people play more negative roles typically, and some people play positive roles, and it's just up to you to figure out which role you are.
But that also goes back to getting to that higher elevated state of mind, to where then you can also identify, like, within people too, like, especially like someone who is a negative person. Like, I'll even speak, like, I have people in my family that I'm like, nope, I've now learned with age and with time and with experience that I'm like, I don't want to associate, because by nature that person has allowed negativity to consume themselves. Like, they probably would say the same thing about me, but in reality, I know I'm not a negative person. I just learned how to create firm boundaries. So somebody who is a negative
if they're
person,
gonna say the same thing about you being negative, it's literally because they're only focusing on the negative.
right.
When
I know myself, and it goes back to learning yourself, knowing yourself, and all of those things, and that's how you then get to be the definer of those boundaries and those lines that you create.
True.
And then you get to decide who has a seat at your table and who doesn't. And then also, like, I don't know, with that, like, you have to choose that happiness, because I've also sat at a table that became very, very lonely, and there's nobody sitting there because the people that were there no longer should have been there, needed to be there, all of those things. And then it kind of takes time to reattract what it is when you are moving into a different stage of life. I mean, you've been there. I feel like you're kind of even there right now. Like, you're weeding out and navigating, like, what people are actually there and can serve, you know, a positive purpose instead of a negative purpose. And it's not like,
I had to have a real, like, that was my conversation yesterday with my sibling, just about our family members in general, about, like, chaos that they are always constantly consumed in, and, like, hey, if I'm going to participate in your life, what does that look like? If you allow it, and okay, cool, you will allow it, what does that look like then?
But that's such a healthy conversation and such a mature conversation to have.
Absolutely. I don't know why more adults can't have it.
Right. Like, you're setting boundaries that are clear that other people know, because then again, like, if you just create these own boundaries but you don't communicate that with anybody, what good are you doing? Like, you're not doing anything.
You're not telling anybody those boundaries.
No. Like,
I don't know that a lot of adults want to have that conversation either, because they're being a little...
Well, again, it goes back to being willing to be uncomfortable for a little bit in order to make space for new things to grow and develop. Because obviously, like, from your conversation, that's now going to lead you guys down a path of, like, growth, like
Mhm.
within your own like relationship, then with the relationship that you can have like going in the future, and what does
Right.
that look like for you and for your families. And that's all good and healthy things, and I've had them before on my side as well, with family as well, and they haven't always been so great, because those uncomfortable conversations don't always lead to enlightenment.
Well, I was
Sometimes
gonna
it leads
say,
to denial as well.
well,
And
they can lead to fights and arguments, and they can oftentimes lead to different opinions, differing opinions, and then you're circling back into like the whole thing about, well, your opinion's different, you need it my way, you need it your way, sort of thing.
But that will reveal a lot about people and their intentions as well. Like, because if someone's not willing to listen open-mindedly to you, your perspective, and see you as a person, then they're probably not somebody that you really want to associate with anyways, because they're not going to
sitting at your table.
No, they're not going to be respectful of you and what you do say and what you do want them to do in order to be honoring. And that's a two-way street, like,
Oh, absolutely.
wholeheartedly, like,
absolutely two-way street.
But again, that also goes back to like choosing. Like, we all have a choice. We all get the choices to, like we talked about last week, being a victim of your mind, or you're the victor of your mind. Like, which one do you want to be and which one do you want to choose? And same thing, like, you got to choose happiness, or you can choose to sit there and be negative. And I've sat in the negative spot.
My sister-in-law wrote a book, and it's called I Choose to Be Happy. Yeah, it's actually a really cute book. And the whole book is about, and it's a kid's book, and it's about how you can, it's literally about choosing to be happy even though things in your day will go wrong.
Yep.
That feeling of happy that you get inside your body, why wouldn't you choose that feeling over that feeling of like angry? Like, do you like feeling angry inside? Do you like having all of those bad feelings towards other people inside? And if you don't like those, then why were you choosing to put those in there?
Right.
Like, I know it's hard and it's frustrating, and you get in this mindset of like frustration and anger and that chaos. But the book is about just choosing to be happy. If you can explain it to a kid that simply, like, man, mom's making I think hers was spaghetti and meatballs or something like that. I don't really like those, but I do know that it's healthy for my body and it's going to make me grow big and strong, and there'll be something different for dinner tomorrow. I'm going to choose to be happy that I got dinner and I got my spaghetti and my muscles are growing big and strong. And I don't know if that's exactly how the book went, but it's along those lines. It's like, why wouldn't you choose to be happy in such a simple thing? Just take it one day at a time, maybe.
Yes, but actually you just brought up a good point, like, that I think that even us, especially as adults, and how we and our brains tend to focus on how we think and how we operate as we become older. Like, we overcomplicate so many things. And just how you said, like, if you can explain it to a kid, well, I think that oftentimes we ourselves need to seriously take ourselves back to the state and the mind of like a child. Simplify it, dumb it down, if you will. And I don't mean to say it that way, but it is like you're taking it down to where it is like even a child can understand it. Like, it doesn't have to be that difficult. And it is as simple as making a choice of, like, do I get to get up early, or do I have to get up early? Well, no, I get to get up early, because then when I get up early, I get to go do this, or I get to go do that, instead of thinking it as a negative.
I have to get up early and then I won't get to sleep.
Well, there's, good, positive things that can come from all sorts of those.
And then my digestive system won't catch up. And then I'll have to poop at the office. And then, not that I've ever done that. I've literally never even done that at the office. How do we get back on this topic?
I don't know, but
about waking up in the
bullshit on you. But either way.
I don't think I have.
I mean, I have, and I have no shame in my game. Whatever, man. We all do it.
But yeah, looking at it like, man, if I get up early, then I get to go do this, and I get to do that, and then those are things that you want to do, and you get to fit in this. I need to start running.
Happiness, choosing joy, choosing to find the good instead of seeing the bad, because the world likes to sell you the bad, like that there's a lot of negativity. And don't get me wrong, the world also could very much so paint the other picture, but then being also careful to not let the world define what your happiness looks like or what your joy looks like. You get to ultimately define that and choose that. And so, I don't know, like, give compassion to yourself first. And I think that that's going to make a lot more headway within what it is that you choose later on. Because if you can be compassionate with yourself and give yourself grace, you're going to naturally then give others that same type of courtesy as well. And then it allows you to enjoy people and things that much more, instead of then being like so annoyed or disgruntled or whatever it may be. Because
I know I'm glad that that was our topic today, that we decided to talk about for grace.
Yes.
Because yesterday I was telling you, I like racked my brain about my growing stuff. I have a greenhouse in my house and I grow like all kinds of different things for plant, like, garden, whatever.
Starts that you
Garden
can't put
starts.
outside.
Yeah, like all kinds of different plants. I love plants. And one of the things I was growing was just not working well, and I had tried it a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, why? And then I had just said something simple, and it made my brain think, oh yeah, you dummy, that's why it didn't grow. You did this wrong. And then I was like, oh yeah. And then I was so mad at myself. I was like, I literally wasted 2 weeks. I wasted product. I wasted all these things. And I was like, dang it. And I was being hard on myself. Literally woke me up in the middle of the night because I figured out what I had done wrong. And then all day yesterday, I rectified the problem. I did some witchcraft and wizardry, is what I called it. Witchcraft and wizardry. Made up some new potions and whatever you want to call it. And I was back on track. But let me tell you what, I did not sleep well because of it. And then I was like, I should have just given myself more grace.
That was my comment to her, was like, you should give yourself way more grace, because the fact that you're able to, like, honestly start and forge your own, like,
grow and do all of it
stuff, like, for your garden. Like, so many people can't do that, and so many people don't know how to do it. And especially, like, there's certain, like, plants and even different, like, foods and stuff that are around here that are really hard to grow and get growing and actually be successful with them. Like, if you talk to a lot of people from last year, like, I know in particular my own personal garden last year, holy Lord, did it suffer. Like, it didn't do so hot. And I mean, sometimes you have good years, sometimes you have bad years, but the fact that you're able to actively and consistently, in my opinion,
I'm just glad I figured out what I did wrong.
Try new things. And, like, but even that, like,
I know I need to give myself grace.
Being happy with the fact that you are smart enough to know, like, how to figure that out, how to troubleshoot. Like, a lot of people would be like, I have no idea, and then they would just go give up. Like, you're not one to give up. In fact, we even talked about that earlier today, like, in one of our business Zoom meetings. This is a really weird feeling road. Sorry. It's not me. But you are a problem solver, like, just like I am. And we thrive off of finding the answers, especially when we get roadblocked. Like, don't let that beat you down. Like, most oftentimes people, like, that go and try new things,
makes me crazy, like, when I can't figure it out. Then I have to figure it out.
Right. But so many people aren't even, like, brave enough to go try that new thing because they don't do it because they're scared, or they're worried about they're going to fail, or it's not going to work. It's not going to and that goes back to the negative. Like, don't think so negatively. Think more positively and choose that happiness and be like, you know what? But if I do this and it does go right and it does go well, like, look how this is going to trickle down. Like,
oh, it's going to trickle down. I'm going to have all kinds of goodies. Man.
I know. I'm excited to see your garden.
My goodies.
You're going to have to get me some raspberry starts again, because I never did one of those. I don't even know if you brought me some. Did you bring me some?
I brought you a whole bunch, and then I gave them to your neighbor. You know who ended up with them?
Yeah, I know who. A neighbor who didn't deserve them.
She's not sitting at the table anymore.
Oh, I know. She got the big old boot to herself. Actually, she did it to herself, but whatever.
Anyways, move along.
Yeah, move along from that one.
Yeah, I can get you some more raspberry starts. They're everywhere.
I know the rhubarb. I'm excited to make some rhubarb jam this summer as well.
Yeah, you can share the rhubarb with me.
I'll do that. Can you grow pineapples here, you think?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so, but
we can't grow any citrus here. We don't have a long enough growing season. It doesn't.
What
get
about
hot
a greenhouse, though? I feel like if I just kept an indoor greenhouse.
Yeah, but that would have to get huge. You could, pineapple wouldn't be that big, but I mean, like, pineapple, just buy a pineapple at the store.
I guess they're only $2.99.
And not to mention, like, the homemade ones that you grow only end up being, like, this big. They're tiny, and you get, like, one or two a season.
Okay, fine.
It's kind of like an artichoke plant. Did you know artichoke plants are perennials? They come, except for like here, I got mine to come back once. It was an easy winter. It's too cold over winter here, but artichokes literally, the part that you eat is there. Why are we back on artichokes?
I don't know.
The artichoke.
Buy one now.
Yeah, the plant. It's like one flower. You get 1 or 2 flowers out of this huge old thistly plant, and you're like, might not have been worth the space,
I didn't know
or the
that,
time,
actually.
or the love. But boy, do I enjoy those artichokes.
I know, they're so good.
So good.
If you have a favorite artichoke recipe, you should totally comment and let us know, because
Other than the mayo, other than the butter, other than the garlic, try it. Does anybody have any fancy ones?
yeah. Yum. Artichokes.
I do like artichokes.
Back to the topic of food and
Food.
finding happiness. That's my happy spot. Food. I'm such a foodie. I love it so much. It brings me joy.
I do like cooking.
I like to cook. I like to bake. I like to make candies. I like to forage. I like to harvest.
I was supposed to
my
bake a
garden.
loaf of bread though yesterday, and I fell a little short on that. I got a little lazy. Well, because I ran out of eggs, and then I was gonna
You
do.
have your own chickens.
Yeah, we have ducks, but we didn't have. There's
You don't have
one.
any chickens left?
I've never had chickens.
Oh, I thought you did.
I hate chickens. Tear up your flower beds.
Well, I also get a whole bunch of bugs that are nasty and bad.
So do ducks.
That works too.
Anyways, I didn't have enough eggs to make bread, and so I was gonna do a vegan recipe without the eggs, and then I was like, meh, and then I didn't do it.
That's funny. We made lots of yummy home-baked goodies this weekend. Alexis made 3 loaves of French bread.
Are they
She did
gluten-free?
so good.
No.
No.
I know. The gluten-free stuff doesn't raise the same. We should put her on task of figuring out a really good gluten-free French bread that rises.
Okay. She'd probably be up for it.
Or anybody else that knows a good recipe.
I also want to try the gluten-free sourdough.
Yeah, I haven't got it. I tried sourdough once on my counter. It didn't go well with the gluten-free flour. It doesn't do the same thing.
It does not. But
It
there's a
doesn't.
recipe actually from the local that we can go down and grab one.
Yeah.
There's a gluten-free sourdough start, and then, I don't know. I bet you that chickpea flour stuff that I found actually wouldn't be too bad, because those monster cookies were bomb.
I have a bunch of different gluten-free flours to try, or that I've tried that I've stocked up on, just to have a variety to try and make them. But
We'll explore
baking
some
bread
options.
does not give me happiness. I like to cook dinners, but I'm not a big baker. My mom bakes, like she baked all kinds of goodies, but I'm just not a baker.
I made my first homemade cinnamon rolls from scratch. They were also not gluten-free, but holy Lord, were they
tasty.
delicious.
That's not
So
saying
good.
I can't bake. I'm really good at baking. Really
Just don't do it very often.
baking? Oh, I do it often because I have to.
Oh.
Otherwise, I'd starve. I can't buy anything that I can eat anywhere.
That's not true, you can, but you're just selective on what you do buy, which is not a bad thing. Not a bad thing.
Staring. Spring. So, anyways, you baked goodies because that brought you happiness
Mhm.
on your weekend.
It did. It was a good weekend for it, so
Mhm.
I appreciated it.
I worked on problem solving some plants, my greenhouse.
You did rock solid. See, we both did
Yeah.
good things that brought us joy and happiness, but give yourself grace.
Yes.
I'll give myself grace because I should have been doing gluten-free, but I didn't do gluten-free.
You can do. You know better.
I do know better. But
That's all right. Gluten.
I could feel it in my knuckles. Holy Lord,
I
that
bet.
was the one thing that I was like, oh, my fingers hurt so bad that I get the arthritis going.
Yeah.
The ritis.
The bonitis. It's off of a show, you know.
No, I didn't know that. but-
Bonitis.
Hmm.
Bonitis. It's off of Futurama.
That reminds me of my strong hand. Okay,
That'll be
anyways.
your thumbnail. All right, back on track. Hopefully
Back on
this
track.
week has brought everybody happiness, and it's been a good one for everybody.
Fulfillment, joy.
Fulfillment. Yeah.
Seek it out, go find it, live it out. It's really, truly a choice. We know this.
Yes.
And once you do, man, life becomes more enjoyable and colorful, and you get to live like a child again, which is my favorite way to live life, like a child.
If you kid, have some fun with it.
Fuck yeah, it's my favorite.
Run around wild. I
Yeah.
did ride on the wheelers this weekend with Jackson. We haven't like had decent enough weather, I guess, for a while where we could. And there was like this much snow, like barely any snow, so it was super slick. And so his
fun.
thing was all about donuts
I'm sure
and
it was.
Brodies. Well, I'm a sis, and I was like, you are gonna tip that wheeler. So, anyways, we did some wheelies and
Did you lose any windows?
donuts. Windows, no. No.
Remember
Oh
what-
yeah, the rock. The little shit had flung up a rock in our driveway. So it's funny because he was literally doing donuts in the driveway. I forgot about my windshield getting broken,
Mhm.
and we even said, we're like, isn't this a rule where we don't do this in the driveway? And he was still doing it. We didn't stop him. We're terrible parents.
No, you're not. Give yourself grace.
Give
You're
ourselves
amazing
to grace.
parents. Let your
Alright.
kid have fun.
Yeah, we let him ride the 4-wheeler, do
Yeah.
all kinds of donuts. That's true.
Yeah. And you
It was a
weren't
lot of
like the
fun.
helicopter parent that was like, don't do that.
Well, I did have to tell him to slow down a couple times. His wheels came off the ground,
That's
like on the
okay.
side at one point.
But you didn't make him fully stop, so you didn't
No.
ruin all of his fun.
Oh, no.
Okay.
We had tons of fun. It was all kinds of about fun.
Yep.
Live like a child a little bit.
All the fun things.
Are we done talking?
Yep.
we
Tune
done
with
there?
us next
Okay.
week
See y'all.
on the Cold Brew Truth. Bye, guys.
Bye.